Education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. Education is a foundation to a better life, a better tomorrow, and a greater future. However, many African American children would be denied this opportunity for a better future by receiving a substandard education.
Back in that day, when I was going to school, it's all black.
The court case of Plessy versus Ferguson would become the standard set forth in many southern states. Following the court's ruling of separate but equal, many school districts would create separate schools for African Americans and whites.
Well, that was the rule, but that was not the reality. We would get the school books that had already been used, that already had all the names in them. There was no line to put your name on because it had already been used by the students, the white students.
This would become evident in the Supreme Court case of Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas. The court brought to light the issue of segregation and that many African Americans were not receiving an equal education.
One of the things the state of Mississippi tried to do, anticipating Brown, was to beef up the black schools so that they could say we're separate but we're equal. Did you see any of that? Anything coming into your school that's like new buildings or materials or anything?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not even textbooks.
They try to keep you from getting an education. But you got to really buckle down and try to get your own education, to help your own self. And don't let nobody block you from it.
The Supreme Court also addressed the issue by allowing the segregation of public education based on race instilled a sense of inferiority that had a hugely detrimental effect on the education and personal growth of African American children.
We didn't get to play the black card as an excuse or a reason for not achieving. We didn't. I can still hear my parents saying, "You are no better than anybody else, but you are no worse either."
The ruling of the Supreme Court was not well received in the southern states. Schools in the South were still enforcing segregation with laws. In the southern states, less than 6% of African Americans attended schools with whites, Texas being the highest with 5.5% of African Americans attending school with whites, while states like Mississippi enforced segregation until 1964.
Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted everybody to be like one person, and everybody have equal rights.
The survey conducted in the book The Cold War of America that asked the question, would you yourself have any objection to sending your children to a school where a few of the students are African Americans? In March 1958, previous responses have shifted. 92% answered that they should attend the same school, while 7% said remain separate. In the same Gallup poll, 69% of African Americans approved of the Supreme Court's decision. However, when desegregation started, it was met with opposition.
Handicapped on the very threshold of their lives. Today, I have stood where once Jefferson Davis stood and took an oath to my people. It is very appropriate that from this cradle of the Confederacy, this very heart of the great Anglo-Saxon Southland, that today we sound the drum for freedom, as have our generation of forebears before us done time and again down through history. Let us rise to the call of freedom-loving blood that is in us and send our answer to the tyranny that clanks its chains upon the South. In the name of the greatest people that have ever trod this earth, I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Final question. Really, do you feel any sympathy or any understanding of the Southerner, the white Southerner who is forced suddenly to change not only his attitude, but his whole way of life?
I have as much sympathy as I could have for anybody. I recognize it is a tough problem. It's a problem that at times would seem to the average Southern white man as being insoluble. I recognize it, and I, for one, would do everything in my power, and so would the NACP, to work it out in a way that would be satisfactory to both sides concerned. And I can't be any more forthright than that, because that's the honest to goodness truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You still have to do the best you can with the gifts you've been given and the opportunities that you've been given. And know that sometimes it works out where you're good and for you to excel, and sometimes it gets you kicked in the teeth. But still, you have to do that.
Just keep on going and try to tell somebody. That's the way I see it.
September 4th, 1957.
I remember watching it on TV as a child, as a student, and I just being mesmerized when I look back at the videos, and really kind of being afraid for them, because I mean they had to be escorted to school by marshals.
I feel bad for those kids. They didn't have no business treating them that bad. But some of them stood up for them, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to not let them people that hate us run over you.
The decision of the Supreme Court is the law of the land, whether they believed in it or not. And to use the full influence of his position as president to bring about peaceful solution of this problem. I think he was obliged to do that, and I think that his failure to do so does not help us at all, especially when we realize that as a result of the failure of the good forces to take over, we have allowed these other forces like the White Citizens Council and the Klan to threaten and intimidate good people.
That's come from the grown people, older. That's hate. And the kids catch on.
People were just a product of the time.
At the center of the crisis were these 9 teenagers, selected by the school board because of their excellent grades. The first day, 8 of the 9 went to school together, accompanied by their parents and ministers. They expected some harassment, but no real trouble.
The biggest joke in Little Rock, Arkansas that you could ever hope. I don't know how much different our schools in Waco, Texas were from the schools that the white students attended, but Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas looked like a college campus compared to the little rundown black school that the Little Rock 9 were coming from.
The 8 children and the adults with them were turned away by the National Guard.
The Little Rock 9 would continue forward in their goal and inspire many to challenge the racial barriers on education that had been set forth by many. Prior to integration in the years 1957 to 1962, the average graduation rate for African Americans that completed high school was an average of 22% for both male and female. After integration in the 1970s, the percentage of African Americans that completed high school would increase drastically.
Hello, my name is Minnie Williams.
My name is Jewel Lockridge, Dr. Jewel Lockridge to some, and I am a proud graduate of A.J. Moore High School, Baylor University, Texas A&M University, and Truett Seminary.